the last time you visited the zoo? What was your favorite animal? Did you ever imagine taking that animal home with you to keep as a pet? By keeping an exotic pet in your house, it can cause some long-lasting devastating effects to the environment. You will also be depriving it of its basic survival needs, which will also cause it to become miserable. Now, I personally don't own an exotic pet, but from my research and the couple documentaries I've watched, I know that these animals deserve better lives. Today, I'm going to explain how exotic animals can negatively affect the environment, how exotic animals, or what it would be like to own an exotic animal, and the many expensive responsibilities you would have to partake in, and the pros and cons of owning an exotic animal. First, I'm going to discuss how exotic animals can negatively harm the environment. An exotic pet is classified as any animal that is more strange or unusual than a cat or dog, according to the source National Geographic, written by Lawrence Slater in April 2014. Exotic pets are only allowed in a handful of states, and they are illegal in Nebraska. According to the article, Decision Time for Exotic Pets, written by Judges Fleming in December 11, 2016, the impact of exotic animals across the world can also cause devastating effects such as extinction. Species taken out of their natural habitat can pose a serious risk to the environment. For example, the coast of Maine is losing its biodiversity due to the green crab, which is an invasive species. An animal's well-being cannot be provided for in most private homes, and animals that naturally live in cohabitation are being kept as single pets, according to paws.org. Because of this, animals will stop grooming, mating, and hunting for food. This will cause them to become bored or depressed, which also leads to aggression and illness. If your pet was to escape or become released, it could also spread diseases to native wildlife. This would also harm the economy, such as agriculture, according to my first source. Now that you know about the impact of exotic animals and how they can negatively affect the environment, next I'm going to explain what it would be like to own an exotic pet. Next, I'm going to explain what it would be like to own an exotic animal and the many expensive responsibilities you would have to partake in. As a pet owner, you have full responsibility of your pet and need to be available 24/7. Some exotic pet owners spend thousands a year on fresh meat, grains, fruit, and vegetables. According to Wild Patience by Jennifer Boren, Science World, September 2017. But is a pet really worth that much time and money? The main reason why someone will buy an exotic animal is because they buy on impulse. Sometimes these animals are simply used as a collection instead of a living, breathing animal. But does this really seem fair? Also, according to my previous source, some owners get sucked up into buying exotic animals from websites. This is very common because websites can be deceiving, and they make it seem very easy to own an exotic pet. However, they don't state the dangers or responsibilities of owning one, according to The Dangers of Keeping Exotic Pets. It's expensive to treat an exotic animal, but without the correct treatment, your animal is more likely to become ill, according to my first source. Going to vets or hospitals are a lot more expensive and time-consuming, but this is because their bodies are more complex than a cat or dog. All these expenses can add up in a hurry, and when the owner can't take care of their animal anymore, they tend to turn to zoos. However, most zoos won't be able to take care of your exotic animal either. Now that you've heard about the responsibilities for caring for an exotic pet, next I'm going to explain the pros and cons of owning an exotic animal. Here are the pros and cons of owning an exotic pet. Some owners may think that if they own an exotic pet, they're doing the best they can to keep it off the endangered species list. I know a lot of people may think this, however, you are doing your animal more harm than good by keeping it locked up and away from the real world. The article VeterinaryCenter.com states that owning an exotic pet creates an incredible learning experience because these animals are very fascinating and unique. I know these animals are unique, but we need to realize how heavily we are impacting these innocent living creatures. Most owners don't have the supplies or materials needed to take care of these animals, which allows them to suffer greatly. Do you really think these animals deserve to live in these conditions? Owners have also claimed that they feel set apart from other people because they own a pet that no one else has. However, they fail to put their own animals' needs in front of their own. They see animals as more of a prize instead of a living creature, and no one deserves to live a life like this. According to the article, National Geographic, written by Lauren Slater in April 2014, Tim Harrison was the owner of exotic animals and also in the police force. After a long day of chasing criminals, he would come home to his wolves and snakes. Seeing his creatures after a long day of work was the best feeling, says Harrison. But now his house remains empty, and never again will he own an exotic animal. This is because Tim Harrison got the chance to visit Africa after being an exotic pet owner for almost 17 years. After glancing upon the animals, it was as if his eyes were open. He said that these animals were living in harmony and like there was a rhythm. He suddenly realized that this is the way animals are supposed to live, and to give them anything else just seems wrong. Now every day he fights to protect exotic animals so they don't have the same fate as his did. In conclusion, you have been informed on how exotic animals can negatively affect the environment, how if you own an exotic animal, the many responsibilities you would have to partake in, and the pros and cons of owning an exotic animal. Now that you know the dangers of owning an exotic pet and how they negatively affect the environment, and also by owning a pet, you would be depriving it of its basic social needs, therefore it would become depressed. Next time you go to the zoo, think of what lives these animals should be living instead of being seen as attractions behind cages.